Address the issue as well there. Well, we are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe, a wonderful place to go to. It is time for festives. Please make sure you go there and have a wonderful time. My name is Luke Majumba Alinaitwe. I want to welcome you to today's episode of Issues at Hand, and of course we are going to be tackling issues of gender-based violence. Well, with me here today, it is a great morning. I'm having two strong ladies who are going to take us through this discussion, and first is Mrs. Sseruwo Marjorie, who is the Executive Director of Concern for the Girl Child, here with me, and it is a pleasure for me to greet you and also allow you to greet our people out there.
Pleasure. Good morning, viewers.
Wow.
Nice to be here.
And in the middle is my personal person, Mrs. Wemba Jacqueline. She is the coordinator for Hope Children's coordinator for Namgongo Anglican Matters. By the way, I want to first congratulate you for the archdeaconry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, beloved viewers. Jacqueline Hope right here.
All right. So I understand we've started a little bit late, so we don't want to waste any other minute in this regard, and we apologize for that as well. So I want to start with Madam Marjorie, majorly to bring us to attention of maybe the statistics and majorly the statistics. What are the current standings in regards to gender-based violence here?
Thank you so much, Luke. First of all, I'd like to welcome the viewers, but also to just bring attention to the issue of gender-based violence. The 16 days of activism, like you mentioned, started on 25th of November and ran all the way till 10th of December. The reason for the 16 days of activism was the fact that there were so many women and girls that were experiencing it. And so at that time in 1991, this is when it was reinstated as a time for fighting against gender-based violence against women and girls. So there are statistics that talk about, for example, over 95% of women in Uganda that have experienced, women and girls that have already experienced gender-based violence. In that section, 95%.
Wow.
And that's quite a high number.
It is.
When you think about that number, you look around you and think about the women in your life or the girls that you father or sisters or whatever. But also we have had a number of interventions, and as a result we know that there's a lot of there's a lot of awareness and sensitizations on it. In 2020, for example, we have had a police report that talks about 14,683 cases reported. What I know is that some of these cases are not reported. We have cases that have not been reported. So, but what we know is that for the 14,000 are just a bit of a small number of the people that are experiencing gender-based violence in Uganda. In 2023, though, there's a report that there's a decline in the cases. So I don't know if that's a result of the interventions and the sensitizations and the fact that there's a lot more people coming out to speak against the vice. But yes, there's a decline.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I actually wanted Jacqueline to continue in that regard, shed more light about the trend, how it has been over the years in terms of percentage or sort of, and how it has actually been able to reduce.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Luke. Like you said, I bring you greetings from my Archdeacon, Venerable Waswa Sentamu. Regards from Namgongo Methodist Church of Uganda. As Marjorie here was saying, talking about the statistics, allow me say that by the time this was established, 1991, the statistics were alarming. Quite alarming that the women leaders globally thought there needed to be something that had to be done. And yes, they came up with the 16 days of activism. Like she says, kickstarting them off on the 25th, which is the International Day of Ending Violence Against Women, and having them run up to 10th December, which is the International Day of Human Rights, creates a linkage between bringing it to the audience, getting us to understand that this is a human rights issue. Now, from that time till now, we are registering considerably reducing numbers because civil society organizations, communities, different leaders at different platforms, churches, cultural leaders have all joined efforts towards saying no to gender-based violence. If you may allow me,
yes,
maybe pick a few things from the report, police report. We see these reducing considerably
over the years.
Okay. From the 2022 report to the 2023 reports, especially about girl child early marriages, and then teenage pregnancies. Trust me, those statistics have dropped considerably.
Okay. Wow, interesting. Now, are there certain hotspots or maybe issues to do with demographics? Are there regions where you find gender-based violence is very high, they say, or even the age brackets, age groups?
I think the regions are mostly in the east.
In the east.
For us as an organization, we interface mostly with girls, right?
Yes.
And the statistics I'll give you are those of girls. The most experienced form of gender-based violence for girls is defilement and maybe early marriage. And for us in Uganda, in the eastern part of Uganda, that's where we see a trend where girls are mostly experiencing especially early marriages. In Luwero, where we work, we have a number of those that are experiencing defilement, and it's actually trending as number one, Luwero district as number one in the country of for those who are experiencing defilement. Yes. In terms of ending child marriage, you have the oldest grandmother in the eastern region who's 20-something years. But that's something that's really alarming because there's so many young girls.
Oldest grandmother?
Yes, youngest.
The youngest
grandmother in Uganda. The youngest.
At 22, had I even thought of giving birth?
She's a grandmother at that age.
She's a grandmother.
Wow.
So
at 22, I was
still in school. Child was born when she was perhaps, I don't know, I'm trying to think.
Could be 14, 13.
14,
oh
13.
my, 12.
And then also her child has given birth at a very early age. So, yeah.
This is really, really scary in that regard. But are there some reasons why some regions could be on a rise in terms of gender-based violence?
Definitely yes. Let's delve into the issue of female genital mutilation, the violence that is the women are facing in that region. When you look at Moroto and Nakapini, Karamoja areas, violence against women is critical, ranking closer to what she talks about in Luwero. And because of cultural norms, simply because they believe female genital mutilation is the way to go, and for every girl child, that should be the way to go. So I find it uncouth, simply because culture says the girl must go through this, and we simply allow the girl child to go through that. And of course, poverty, when you look at places where we are sending girls into early marriages, the poverty rate is really, really high, extremely high. And they look at the girl child as kasukali. Oh, such sentiments, so painful that when you get to the labor ward and the announcement comes out, it is a girl. This is what people come thinking. Kasukali, oh, degrading, that is degrading. And because of that, the girl grows up being looked at as a source of economic empowerment for the family. When they become ripe, 12 years, they do not see any reason of sending the girl child to school, and therefore some think the girl child should be used as an exchange for school fees for the boy child. It's really saddening.
Yeah.
And as leaders, as stakeholders, we need to delve into issues of how best then can we economically empower such communities so that we kill those trends totally.
And how about illiteracy in some regions? Maybe?
Oh yeah, illiteracy, especially in the rural areas, in the north especially, and that's basically because of the previous experience of war and all that that has been, you know, an effect in that area. But mostly the rural areas, so many people are not believing in taking girls to school. Still in Uganda, even though there's UPE and USE, we have had a number of girls dropping out of school and due to early marriages. We've also had the recent pandemic, which was very instrumental in, you know, causing a lot of dropouts for girls.
Okay. And speaking to that, is there an improvement maybe for over the time? Because I guess people
2020 till now. I'm yet to find that out.
Okay.
Yes, I'm yet to find that out.
Okay, very interesting. And now we are faced with a wave of digitalization. And it is, I don't know what you think its contribution to gender-based violence could be.
Well, I want to pick it from the positive side. This is part of digitalization, right?
Yes.
Sure. We utilize these spaces to sensitize the communities and tell them this is the right way to go. Can we let go of the bad ways? And there is a lot of information running up and about.
Yes.
Some demonizing the acts and some speaking well about the cultures, some cultures that are good. So I am into that space, but I want to go back a little bit about the women and men in marriages. I hear of some men these days saying that their women cannot have smartphones. I hear because they are women, they shouldn't get on social media. They're supposed to keep in the kitchen. The children will get accidents if the mother is so much buried into their phone. And that is another form of violence. And because they think that digital world is only for men, the patriarchal world, society in which we are, they think that those complicated things are for men. Please, that is gender-based violence.
The children are accessing a lot of information, but some of the information is actually violating them. Yes.
Okay.
So we have a lot of cyber bullying and cyber, what is it called? That situation where girls are, not just girls, children are exposed.
We have online sexual exploitation. Those are the demonizing things that we said about the digital world.
Yes.
So now when we get to the demon side of the digital world, away from the good thing that it does for us, it is terrible. Yes, Marjorie, it is. We see girls out there selling themselves for sex.
Yes.
Because of the digital world. We see sexual exploitation of men having sex with the girls, utilizing these gadgets. It is terrible. And I think parents have a great role to play in this.
Yes.
Why would you allow a child below 18? In some houses, I've had my friends say, before you get to campus, no phone in this house for anyone. And their children will want to eat you alive. But, well,
Controls.
that is the way to go. I have had the government put controls as well about cyberbullying. I have had people come out to speak against it. And yes, parents, the battle is in your hands. Out there, the digital world is killing the children.
I want to still get stuck on the girl child majorly for the online harassment. Are there any unique forms the online platforms are contributing to gender-based violence, especially against the girls?
Obviously, like I said, the exposure kind of conditions these girls into getting into situations that they may not have prepared for as at their age. Okay, so and then you're finding them sharing nudes and things like that at their tender age. So there's a lot of exposure, but then there are also people exploiting them in those platforms. Men, older men, and things like that. So I think the challenge is not that we should not have digital, exposure and everything, but the controls must be there. Okay. I think during COVID-19, after COVID-19, we had a lot of exposure because children were learning online. We had children doing their studies online, and around that time I happened to interface with a number of children, especially adolescents between the age of 9 and 14, and many of them were struggling with pornography. Many of them were struggling with online hackers and people who were trying to exploit them. So I mean, some of these vices have come up because of such exposures.
Okay. And there is a particular young lady, she's still not yet 18 years old, and she intentionally puts out such content, her nudes and all that. But I feel there is not enough response from the authorities. Do you think the government needs to do much in that regard? Because people have really got freedom, a lot of freedom, and to me it is misusing it.
Thank you, Luke. You are the authority.
Exactly.
We have such spaces. We are the authority. Can we go there and speak against these acts? Children that are listening in, this is going to taint you for the rest of your life. You're going to walk into that employment space, seeking for employment, and there is this whole image that people have about you. There are things that can never be corrected. There are things that can paint you ugly, dirty for the rest of your life. Run away from such. And this is the time. Now that we have spaces like this, thank you to Church of Uganda for this space. We come here to authoritatively say that digital inclusion for children will be good if there are measures to control. If it is restricted to academic pursuance, please let us do that. But where is the parent in this case? Is this child being parented? The parent is the authority. We are the government. Friends, let us speak like we are the government. We are the people that should speak against these things. The parents, the church leaders. When you have that platform as a church pastor, as a reverend speaking out there, what is your play? What is your role? What is your take? And if they keep hearing this from all corners, not only from this parent they have painted as the monster. We have names. This parent they have painted as the police officer, the sergeant at arms, that one. So if they are not hearing it only from that parent, that they are demonized, and they are hearing it from everywhere, all corners, trust me, we shall bring this down. It's unfortunate for that young person.
Interesting. It is a collective responsibility for all of us to make sure that we have a clean environment for every person out there, for the girl child out there, for the boy child even as well. Those that are being harassed majorly online. Digitalization has come. It is either way. It is both. It has an advantage. It also carries lots of disadvantages, like you have been seeing. So it is a collective responsibility right here, like you've had it from my two panelists here today. So we are going in for a short break and return with more of this discussion.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
You're still watching Issues at Hand. It seems for us we didn't go for any break. The discussion continued here. That is why I want to kindly request Marjorie to take us through what role we have as the media, because it really seems to be a huge one, but we are stepping on it. So we were sharing here during the break, and she says there was a plan for us, the media people, to make sure that we portray goodness out there, but somehow, somewhere, we tend to relax. But well, I want you, Marjorie, to first bring that to our attention.
Yeah. When you say that the role of the media, I just wanted to say that the media plays a very, very critical role in the changes in society, including gender-based violence. And so what you portray on the screens, what you portray on the digital platforms really, really influences people, both negatively and positively. And as an organization, we belong to a consortia, that's Uganda Child Rights Network. And at one point, Uganda Child Rights Network brought together all media organizations. And in that discussion, it was about them trying to prevent this content, adulterated content, for the children. And we agreed that they would have their adulterated programs after 9 p.m. when the children have gone to bed. And I think that was effective.
Yeah, it was effective.
Yeah, but I think in terms of the digital platforms and the social media and all that, it's something that is still, accessible. So what the media needs to understand is some information is not supposed to be accessed by children, and even with adults. Sometimes if you cannot put it out there on the street, then you shouldn't be putting it on TV screens or what is it called, phones and things like that.
Marjorie, this reminds me of your partnership with Family TV, with Safe Screens.
Exactly.
I think CGC has partnered with NTV and with Family TV, taking this gospel to primary schools and sensitizing the children about the disadvantages of the screens.
Yes.
TV is inclusive, and of course phones and tabs. It was a good engagement.
I think it's a beautiful, it's inspiring for you to come up with something like that, especially for the media, because what's marketable in society is what people term as adulterated. People put out newspapers, and for them to sell, they have to put someone nude on top of it.
Right.
But what Family TV is doing is amazing, and I commend you for that campaign.
Thank you so much. And also, speaking of online content, I don't know what should be done, because even when the provisions have been put there, they'll blur the image and then put an option of this is an adult content. But trust me, if a child sees that,
they will be inquisitive.
What happens here?
They're human beings, and they're curious. They want to know. They want to dig deep.
That calls for more attention from them.
Exactly.
Anyway, I think there is a lot of intervention supposed to be made, and now let us look at the contribution of the parents in this regard. What role do the parents play to end gender-based violence?
I don't want to say that they do this without knowledge. Yes, some do it without their know, but parents, you will agree with me that once the children get to see the violence exercised between you, the two elders, father and mother, the effect that trickles down to the child is immense. It affects them in school, it affects them in their social well-being, it affects them economically, it affects the whole child holistically. And if we do not put this in check, we are going to kill the child. Many times I interact with children at children's church. You see a child walking with, they all look saddened, they are all not well cared for. Others have the best clothes because they are there, but you will see them with mucus all over them. You're going to see them with it is saddening, and then you realize that there is a lot of misery at home. When you dig deep into this child's life, you realize that mommy, for example, has even no time to take care of this child because they themselves are not happy in that home. And then we also encounter this category of child that comes in and they're aggressive. They're aggressive, they want to beat everyone around, they want to fight. Yeah. Even among teenagers we see this. Why? Because it crops down, it comes right from home. They have seen daddy being aggressive, they have seen mommy being aggressive as well. And then you see this child who is defiant. In most cases, children's churches are crowded by female teachers. I'm sorry to say, but when it is the female teacher in charge, I have noticed some children will not listen. They won't listen, and they don't want to know whether it is you or who else, because at home the mother has no say. The woman cannot say a thing about it. And then when you see the male teacher appear, the child, yes, the child. Also, it goes back to the root, The family is the smallest unit in the society. And all these things, if we talk about them and we think they're going to start here at a TV station, no, then we deceive ourselves. It goes back home. The children are tortured. Gender-based violence is not only physical. Violence goes way into the emotional well-being of the child. Exactly. It is emotional violence. What kind of words are you sending to these children? What kind of words are you sending to your wife? This woman can never measure up. You are stupid, as stupid as your mother. How can such words come from a parent's lips? It's absurd indeed, I must say. But parents, let us do a check-in. Do a self-check and see what it is that you're spilling out, that is spilling out of you. Let it be away from the child. Please, let it be away from the child. And being a marriage counselor in some space, please don't take it into the bedroom. The bedroom is for fun and for enjoyment. Please don't take it to the bedroom, like some people may say, but away from the child, please.
We're talking about interventions. Can we look at concern for the girls? What interventions are we having to at least end gender-based violence?
So as an organization, we work in partnership with many people. But one of the things we do is we advocate for ending gender-based violence. How? We work in consortia, we work with UCRNN, like I said, and in UCRNN, which is Uganda Child Rights Network, we basically talk to policy makers, and we ask them to effect certain laws against issues like gender-based violence and child abuse. Ending child marriage, we belong to a consortium called Girls Not Brides, and Girls Not Brides, as an organization, we have been very involved in trying to sensitize masses and communities about ending child marriage and teenage pregnancy. But also, we have gone to the parliament and engaged the parliamentary committees that deal with children and talk to them about laws. You know, we have been very instrumental in promoting the strategic plan, the national strategic plan of ending child marriage in Uganda. And so many things have been effected at the policy level. However, we're also in the communities. So we work in the schools, we talk to teachers, we sensitize teachers about gender-based violence, because teachers too defile girls or defile boys, whatever. And then we also work with parents. We talk to parents about parenting in the communities. And we've basically also empowered girls in their safe spaces, in their schools, and we told them that they can actually speak up, they can fight against the vice, they can actually report the cases, they can go as far as following up these cases. We've also had like committees in the communities where we have asked them to learn how to report cases. We've taken down organizations like Barefoot Law that have gone down to talk to them about the legal processes and how they can report such cases of gender-based violence.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, and they're doing quite well on media spaces, sensitizing communities just like they are doing right now.
And when you talked of policies being implemented, my mind rushed to the legal framework. So my question is to you, Jackie, are the Ugandan laws sufficient enough to protect victims of gender-based violence?
I must commend the government. They have done a very good job of putting up policies, of course with the support from CSOs, from other parties, but then the policies are there, but do the communities know about them? Do the people do the victims even know that there are laws that protect them? Just the other day, one of the engagements at CGC with partners from Barefoot Law, as they were trying to sensitize the communities in Nakawa Division about the laws, they told the women in that space that no one should stop you from going to work, for example. And I saw women shocked, like there is a law that can defend me against that. I have to work, I am entitled. They didn't know. And that is what people like CGC are doing. That is what people like Family TV are doing to support the law. The law is there, but then we need to take it down, break it down. The other day I saw CGC excelling at sensitizing local leaders in Luwero. In Luwero with one of our partners, a Women Pro Bono Initiative. They had all the district leaders, the government leaders in Luwero district in that room, and what they were doing, sending them to talk about these laws. The laws are there, thank God, but are they being implemented? And then we have our friends that are perpetrating the law. They know the law, but they're trying to hide it away from the community, and they're also trying to manipulate the law to their advantage. Those are the people in authority. I have had some weird experiences in some spaces, like the police spaces. Some of them are really good, but there are those that are corrupt. In every community has such people. So an appeal to our friends there that we run to help us voice these things. Support us. Do not tilt the law to favor you, or do not corrupt tendencies. That's the word. Let us break those corrupt tendencies. Together, we are the government, and I am sure we shall end gender-based violence.
Wow. What are the biggest challenges victims of gender-based violence are facing?
I like what she shared, and to add to that, the policies exist. The legal framework is almost sufficient. I think it's the translation of that framework, or the reinforcement of that framework. And one of the biggest challenges is reinforcement. Reinforcement at all levels. If we were to look at the people that reinforce the law, they are the people in authority. They are police,
church leaders.
You talk about the LCs, the local leaders, the cultural leaders. And when you go down to the community, especially, the biggest challenge is reinforcement. You will follow up a case, but how far will that case go? A perpetrator might even connive with the law enforcers, reinforcers, and there you'll have a case gone. So most people give up hope early. If I have experienced gender-based violence as a woman, I'm just giving and I go to the police to report, and nothing is done about it, I will not go back the next time.
True.
I will not, because obviously it means that I've lost hope in that arm of that system. So I think that is where the biggest challenge, reinforcement. But of course the other one is cultural, social cultural norms, which we all know that are very hinged in not just our culture or our tribes or whatever, but also in religion. Deep-seated cultural beliefs that are everywhere, that are surrounding us. So a woman experiences gender-based violence every day. She's battered, but won't leave her home because the Bible says, I must persevere. But guess what? Her life is at stake. And so we have examples. One of these women recently who was burnt to death, a renowned runner, Cheptegei. I mean, God bless her soul. She died just out of a simple situation like that, domestic violence. And we know of so many others who have died in situations like that, but that's because the cultural norms are different. And the patriarchal society, if I may say. I think that's really the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Oh, Marjorie talks about something that gets me thinking. The contradiction when it comes to the violence in homes escalated vis-a-vis the covenant we have made in church. This is a church space, reminded that this is a church space, but now speaking into that, if I am married in church, I know of this particular woman that was married in church, and the church says you cannot leave the marriage, you cannot divorce. Yet the woman is being battered, the woman is economically violated. You make your money, and the man comes and grabs all of it just because you're a woman and says, this is my money, and what they do, they don't share for the family, they take it down to my back, and the family enjoy the woman's money, the woman's sweat. And you're supposed to be there. There is emotional violence. At one point, this woman started to talk of committing suicide, and the church is saying, please, Guma, this contradiction. What do we have to say about this?
Well, I just wanted to say that the church is very, very critical. They have a voice. Why? Because we have influence as the church, you know. We harbor marriages in the church. But besides preparing people for marriage, how are we walking the journey with them in that marriage? Because I think before even we get to the point of I am leaving the marriage or I am being battered, how are we walking that journey with the people in their families, with the families? I love the title Family TV because I believe that the church reinstated this business, and I believe that this is a voice, you know. So how do we walk with the people besides just preparing them? Because I think we have a say as a church. Yeah.
And that takes me to what should be done. I think, and my question in that regard is, have you tried to engage the church authorities in this regard, maybe in the campaigns you do and all those things? Are they part of this?
Yes.
Because just like you said, they have a say. They have a lot of say in community. Every Sunday they have audiences to speak to. So have you worked with them?
We actually do. We work with religious leaders, not just the church, because at some point gender-based violence is not restricted to just, you know, a specific religion. So we have brought together the Muslims, the cultural leaders, you know, all these other people, and we have talked to them about these vices. We partner with the church, the Luero Diocese, and we also we work with the churches in Tinda where we operate.
Very interesting. Unfortunately, I am disappointed by the time, but briefly, I want us to.
Can I say something about church? Church is doing an amazing job. You know, of our departments about Mothers Union, Fathers Union, Christian women. engagements at that level are going on. That is for Church of Uganda. I hope the same goes on elsewhere. The other day in CTC's engagement at the district level, I saw reverends, I saw Muslim leaders in their space being sensitized about gender-based violence. So I know the church is doing a commendable job. Just this coming Sunday at Namugongo Archdeaconry. Yes, the fathers have organized and the end of year engagement, and at this table they are having the mothers on board as well, talking about family and love and spreading it to curb down gender-based violence.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, so as we wrap up, in just a few seconds, I wanted us to address the issue of stigma or fear to report these cases. How is it being addressed in just a few seconds?
How is it being addressed? I think it's being addressed through sensitizations like this. You know, we have a Sauti 116 number that can be called. It's mostly for children. The Ministry of Gender has set it up. So children can call in and report that they're being abused. However, the adults are the most quiet people, you know, because of stigma, especially women, but also men. Men are abused that they can't come out because they feel, you know, they're macho, they can't say. But the sensitizations like this, if you're out there and you're experiencing gender-based violence, come out. Come out, because it is something that can be detrimental to your life. So you can't keep it quiet. Come out, yes.
Yeah. In that regard, you can as well give us your last remarks.
My last remarks. Yes. It's like we said in the beginning, it's concerted effort. The legal frameworks are existent. We need to reinforce them. And each one of us has a responsibility. You're a parent, you're a child, you're a community leader, you're in the government. Every one of us has a responsibility.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We're glad to have you here today. Auntie Jackie.
Thank you, Family TV, for this opportunity. And together, I am sure we shall end gender-based violence. Talking about the lines to call, allow me add to Marjorie's Minister of Gender free line at Sauti. The police free lines to call if there is any form of violence and you're seeking to be helped is 0800 199 195. Please call 0800 199 195. But also with our partners at we have free legal services. Don't hesitate to call. Let me get us the number.
Okay. Yeah, those numbers are very, very important. And because actually some people fear to face these offices. I know someone who has gone to police, a gentleman, and it was a testimony given by a police officer here who always host on Friday. And they say this man couldn't report. When he reported, the police officers there laughed at him.
Wow.
So,
from one of our partners, Barefoot Law, free legal services, kindly reach out to 0785. This is their WhatsApp number, 0785 824 078. They have supported, we've seen them support many of the people in our catchment area at Concern for the Girl Child. But also call this number as well, 0392, for free legal services, 177 405. Once again, 0392 177 405. Their WhatsApp number 0785 824078. Do not die there alone. We have seen that policies are in place, the law is in place, the government of Uganda is ready to end gender-based violence. The communities around you are ready to support. We have CSOs around us that are civil society organizations that are very readily available to help us. Do not die alone. Gender-based violence is real. it kills, whether it is physical, economically, or emotional. And the emotional one, the one that has no evidence when you go to report, is the most dangerous one, because you die slowly. Sorry to all those that are already experiencing this. I know it is a tough journey, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Seek out for help. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. It has been an interesting one. It was my pleasure to host you, Mrs. Sseruwo Marjorie. She's the Executive Director for Concern for the Girl Child, and Mrs. Wembabazi Jacqueline here, who is my aunt, but she holds the position of for children's and Anglican Matters. It has been interesting. Please, you can join the fight as well out there. Gender violence is real and it is here. So you and I are all supposed to collectively be part of this fight. I want to wish you a lovely day. We have been powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe. My name is Luke Majumba Alinaitwe.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe.